Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Skagit Storytellers. This episode was recorded in August, and it wasn't even planned. Matt Specht is in the local Skagit Valley band, Pavlov Jones. He currently lives in Portland, but he came up for a few days for a special festival. I met Matt through a group chat first, and after I had published Shane's episode, and I met him in person at Scott's house when they were practicing. I appreciate Matt sharing his stories of friends, music, struggles with addiction, and memories of live shows. Pavlov is recording new music, and when it's available, or if they have a show coming up, I'll be sure to mention it on this podcast. It's a fun episode, and I hope you enjoy it. Our Washington's Records feature of the week is Victor Simpson, also known as De-esser. I met Victor at his album release show at the Honeymoon in Bellingham, and I saw him again at the Prospect Theater with Sam Chu and Turnkey Runner. His vinyl has been on my turntable probably more than any other one I own. I also really love the digital version because it sounds like a vinyl too, and I'm also the proud owner of the very first signed copy of his vinyl, Tame. If that weren't enough, Victor also has a really cool podcast named The Young and the Restless, and Young is spelled J-U-N-G. Check it out. It's much better than this one. Anyway, explore Victor's giant catalog online and go out to a show if you see him playing somewhere. Check out his track called Tame.
Oh, there's some losses that will change you in ways that no one else can see. Don't leave you anything but older than you had ever thought you would ever live to be.
All right, tomorrow is a big show in Anacortes. Tommy Stinson and Cowboys in the Campfire are playing at Dad's Diner. Tommy Stinson is, of course, from the legendary band The Replacements. Big shout out to Fletcher for bringing the show there and also for letting me know about it. Sitting with 60 other folks in a small spot on a Thursday night is going to be pretty magical listening to this music. So I'm excited that I am going. All right, next weekend, Ryan McMahon's album, Live Now or Live Now, I'm still not sure which one it is, L-I-V-E, Live Now is being released. I'm thankful that I also get to attend that album release party at the Eagles Hall in Ladysmith. And that's actually right beside my grandma's iconic house in Ladysmith. Here's a song from one of his previous projects, The Lion, Bear, and Fox. And this track is called Room 32.
Our struggle is done. Back to the days when we were young. Tell me a story about the way it was and who you were before you got lost. Your fire has done gone out. Your way of life has hit the ground. Room 32 is no venue to be. 27 dead on a silence.
Awesome. All right, if you're not aware, I did go to high school with Ryan. We were band geeks together, and I think it'd be pretty hilarious if we recorded a podcast. So be on the lookout for that one day. He's going on tour soon, doing a mix of solo gigs, but also supporting Tom Cochrane. If you don't know who that is, just think of that Rascal Flatts song, Life is a Highway. Yep, that's a Tom Cochrane song, and I think that he did it better, so look that up. One thing that's not related to music, Mike McKnight has started his Arizona Trail 800-mile FKT, fastest known time attempt. I'll post next week how that's going. It's supposed to take him 2 weeks. But just know, Mike, if you're listening, that everyone on the Concrete Crushers running team and the rest of the valley are pulling for you to accomplish this amazing goal. Listen to my radio show on Tuesdays from 6 until 8 on ksvu.org or on 90.1 FM on the dial. My show next week is a bit of a departure from my usual format. I'm testing out a new recording spot, so I just switched it up to make it a bit easier. It'll be a fun show. Let me know what you think. That's it from me. Go outside, enjoy this life, be of use, and as always, go do something hard.
Howdy, partner. Welcome to one of the most northern parts of the United States of America. Travel with me upriver as we talk to a bunch of ladies and fellers and they share their tales of wit and wisdom. That's right, it's time again for Skagit Storytellers with Liz Rankin.
I mean, the only reason you're here is just to like correct all of Shane's lies that he told. I wish I would have had shown you Scott's. Had you listened to Scott's, because Scott's is already recorded. I just haven't published it yet.
Oh.
So I just wanted to get Shane's out before Bandcamp.
Well, if
he
I
name dropped a bit more.
yeah, I mean, and if there's anything that like Scott's already shared that I start sharing about, just let me know. I mean, I'm sure Scott's probably told you the lion's share of some of our craziness.
We talked about lawn care quite a bit. I don't know.
Lawn care?
Yeah.
Okay, I know nothing about lawn care, so he's got me there. My
What
mom
do you
made me play the flute.
Did she?
Yeah, it's like my grandpa was my mom's dad was actually a military band leader.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like, all these cool stories about, our grandpas in World War II, and mine was a band leader. And then, when he retired or after the military, he taught band in Stanwood High School for years. He retired from it. But
Oh, wow.
so my aunt plays piano, my mom plays piano. There's a lot of musicians in my family. My grandpa played bass in a jazz band. My son now actually has my grandpa's old bass guitar.
Wow.
And he was using it when he was in bands, and so
Yeah.
it's kind of gone full circle with that.
Oh,
but
that's really cool. Is he in a
Yeah.
band right now?
not right now.
No.
No, now he's busy with 3 kids. So
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, and I mean, I'm trying to get like the timeline correct. Is that kind of why Pavlov paused for how many years?
well,
Because when did you guys start playing together?
we were truly a band of the '90s.
Okay.
I think that it was probably 90. I want to say 95, and
Okay.
Our last show, at least for the first half of our story, ended in 2000. We actually had a show New Year's Eve of the millennium.
Oh, okay.
And-
Oh, I think Scott said that. Yeah.
But I didn't
yeah.
make it to that.
Oh, you didn't?
No. No, I was kind of a
Were you scared of
crazy-
Y2K?
No, I was. No, I was. No,
You were
I
bunkered
spent the
down?
evening at the Sundown Miracle Alcohol Recovery Ranch.
Oh.
Yeah, so that was my. I was. I was allergic to alcohol.
Okay.
Made me break out the window, break out of jail. No.
Actually, when I offered you a beer last night and you said that you were sober, I thought, oh, I wonder if we can talk about that. I'm 6 years sober, so.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I was drinking a non-alcoholic beer.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I joke around that I can only have 2. If I have 3, look out.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean that that was obviously part of it, but
Yeah.
and then obviously met a girl, moved to Portland, got married, had a life, and then
Yeah.
I think it was 2020 when Tim Fisher started Bandcamp up again after the pandemic or whatever. He's like putting his feelers out. Should I not? Or
Yeah.
whatever. I don't know how we just sort of somehow reconnected. The only change is the original guitar player, Rob Blackwell. It was a sort of MIA. Nobody could really find him.
Yeah.
So that's when we, asked Eli to play guitar, which was, Eli's the guy that always recorded us.
Okay.
He was always like the 6th member of the band.
Yeah.
I mean, back then he worked in really cool studios in the 90s. So it's like, once Soundgarden's done, he'd sneak us in the back door and we'd go record a couple songs really quick and, wherever.
Really? That's cool.
Yeah, he worked at a really cool studio in Seattle. It was called Bad Animals. It was owned by Ann and Nancy Wilson of Heart.
Oh.
And I think the name had changed at that point. But
Yeah. I should probably talk to Eli at some point too.
oh yeah, he's there's two things that I can think about that like made a huge impression on me. And in it was like 1988 or 87, I think. It was my senior year of high school. I sort of heralded from the La Connor Anacortes, Fidalgo Island metal kid scene, you know. And a buddy of mine that I went to high school with named Mike McCormick, we were starting to play together. He had a shed, and he took me to Anacortes to see this band called Chaos, spelled with a K.
Of course.
You know,
was it
real
like
metal.
flipped around like corn?
No, it should have been. But so we went out there to see these guys, and it was Eli, who's in Pavlov now, John Caulfield, who is also in Pavlov now. He's the bass player. And another guy named Thad Balsminer, who's a really cool drummer, a good friend of mine, too. Anyway, I'd never seen these guys before. I watched them. They all had, you know, long-ass hair, big, giant amps, and they just, like, you know, Thad's drum set was massive. And they started playing, and I was just like, oh, you guys are so cool. That sort of kicked up my desire to get a band going and play.
Yeah.
And then we saw him at the Wrestle Grange. And then the other one was Stagnant Water. I went and saw Stagnant Water, I think it was 88. I'm pretty sure it was 88. And it was the first time that I'd actually been to a Grange show. Some friends took me. I think we kind of crashed it with a camcorder. There's actually some footage somewhere of
Really?
that. Yeah. But it was the original Stagnant lineup. It was the Shane, Jason Loeb, Jerry Steamer, and Tim Fisher. You know, again, it's just one of those mind-blown experiences. I mean, they were so... Shane has got he's just naturally an entertainer. I mean, when they play, no matter what band he's playing in, you know, if he's the front man, he just captures your attention. It's just like, you know, you're laughing with them. It's all eyes on the band. They're just super good. And Tim, you know, I've always been like, I mean, Tim is just, he's like the cool drummer guy. He makes it look so easy, you know, you just watch. It's like, I mean, you know, again, hate him too.
So was Mark Zappa always like, is he the Grange guy?
He was the guy, yeah.
I kind of want to talk to him now too.
He would be a great guy to talk to.
Yeah, Shane was like, oh,
He's
that's a whole episode. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, let's do it. Call him.
Yeah, he's really responsible for, you know, getting that whole thing started. And I mean, and that Rexville Grange, you know, that pretty much supplied a venue and an outlet for, you know, bands and kids to go for years to come. And it was, you know, it was a big deal, and certainly made an impression on people, especially me. You know, at the time, it's like, wow, this is cool. You know, it's like, I mean, I can, you know, I mean, I was a dorky high school kid. You know what I mean? And give me a guitar, and now all of a sudden, who played the flute? Now all of a sudden, I can go up on stage and play guitar, and people are into it. And you know, I think I mentioned to you the other day in text, one of the things that I've always loved the most about the Valley is that just the unity and the camaraderie amongst these guys. It's like we've all played together for years and been in bands together. You know, John Caulfield was in Chaos. We were together in a band called System Victim. You know, and it's like just one big interchangeable musician force.
Did you guys ever play covers?
You know, I never was in a cover band.
Okay.
Honestly, it just wasn't. It wasn't where my
Okay.
my passions lied. I was,
Yeah.
you know, I was sort of was drawn to original.
So you never played any covers?
I mean, you know, here or there.
Yeah. I was just wondering if it was like, if it's so disheartening when the crowd's kind of mediocre about your stuff,
Oh,
and
yeah,
then you
and-
play like The Way by the band and people, woo, you're like,
No, but I
"That's
have
not our song."
experienced that. I mean, you know, we used to in Pavlov, we used to do a false start with an AC/DC song. I can't remember which one it was,
crowd
but
gets so
we'd start
excited.
playing for those about to rock, and all of a sudden, all the dudes in the back would rush up to the front, and they'd just be so into it, you know, and then we'd break into our song, and they'd all be like let down and bummed out. And,
You open shows with that?
no, I mean we'd throw it in, you know, every now and then,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
at a show, especially if it was like a, you know, sort of feel the crowd. If it was like a old school Rocky crowd, we'd do it
Yeah.
just to sort of tease them. And
So where was your guys' first show as Pavlov Jones? Do you remember?
I think it was at La Familia's Mexican restaurant in
Okay.
downtown Old Town Mount Vernon. We played there.
Yeah.
But probably very soon after that, actually, this is a funny story. One of our first shows, definitely one of our early shows. I don't even think we were Pavlov yet. I think we were called Swirl at the time.
Oh, okay.
But we played at Cascade Pizza in Cedar-Woolley.
Oh.
These guys, another group of like Valley musicians, Scott Stevens and Morty Webb and Terry Sherman, great drummer too, great guys. They had a band called Canaan, and somehow they got asked to open up for Quiet Riot at Cascade Pizza in Cedar Woolley. Just so
What?
random. It was like 95 or whatever. And so they invited us to play.
Yeah.
I mean, we barely had any music, you know. It's like we were, you know, but it's like, oh, dude, a Quiet Riot, you know, this is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And and I remember pulling in, and their tour bus was bigger than the building itself. Like, you know, one end is sticking out this side, and the you know, the driver's side sticking out the other side. It's like, holy shit! And we get in there, and there's these 4 old dudes sitting around eating food, you know, balding, miserable. I mean, just completely ignoring us. You know, it's like I get it that, you know.
Oh, that's so funny.
To go from being, you know, an arena rock band to playing Cascade Pizza, whatever. So they were kind of jerks. But then they wouldn't even let us set up on the stage. We had to, like, set up on the floor, you know. Wouldn't even give us duct tape to tape our mics and stuff. They were just totally rude. And but it was still fun, you know. We played, and then when they got on stage, all of a sudden they miraculously grew these long, flowing manes of hair.
They put wigs on?
Yeah, they put wigs. And I mean, they may not have been playing for 30,000 people, you know, in the Kingdom, but you'd have thought they were.
Oh, nice.
Because they were so loud and so, you know, just so into it. And it was cool to see them, even though they totally, you know, dissed us in our dumb pop rock roots. You know.
So then you guys played till about 2000, and then you took a break.
Then we took a break and started again.
And then, so when you went to band camp and you played again. You got that,
Yeah, it was just, it was fun. It was like, so, you know, to rewind, I had been in some metal bands, and I had been in another band with Chad Metcalf, who's the lead singer of Blue Green.
Okay, yeah.
Played guitar and sang for Blue Green. And him and I had a band together sort of, you know, after when the whole Sub Pop thing happened in the late 80s, you know, and you know, it's kind of the college radio sort of started to grow and become bigger. It's like I started to turn my back on my metal roots and, you know, wanted to explore other things. And him and I had a band together, and that sort of dissolved. And at that point in time, Hindu Grass was a really huge band in the Valley. We used to see them play all the time, and they were a really good cover band. And, you know, kind of their thing was they were hip on the current. You know, it was in the late 80s and early 90s, it was all about classic rocks. All the bands were playing Boston and, you know, and Aerosmith and whatever. And it's like, you know, here's this band, Hindu Grass, and they're playing like cool 80s music. You know, they're doing Go-Go's covers, and they're doing, you know, Pearl Jam covers and whatever. And so they were hugely popular, but from my understanding of it, like 3/5 of the band, basically Scott, Rob, and Andy, wanted to delve more into original material. Yeah. Because to play in Seattle at the time, or to start playing outside of the Valley, you know, they were more interested in local acts, definitely, you know, and more interested in local acts and, you know, original music. So a mutual friend, Holly West, a real good friend of mine, you know, I was sort of without a band, and they were sort of looking, and she's like, hey, you should meet my friends, you know, from Hindu Grass. They're sort of looking to whatever, and connected us. Mm-hmm. And so I hooked up with them, and we needed a bass player, and, you know, I played with John Caulfield in System Victim, you know, and so we united forces, and then it just sort of took off from there. I mean, we just kind of, you know, it's the first time I ever, like, toured. We basically did everything that any big band does, except, you know, get signed and make money. And, you know, we toured, we recorded, we played for big crowds. You know, we did the, you know, 10 nights a week every month of shows and all of that stuff. So, but we got to record, which was really always sort of where my passion lied. Is I love, you know, I love going in the studio and laying stuff down. I mean, that's where it's like, you know, you really get to make your mark, you know, with your buddies. And
money will come and go.
Yeah.
So Scott told a story about going down the West Coast and doing a tour, and then Shane told a story about going to Montana.
Oh my God!
So, well, and when we were over last night, Tony said, well, Shane forgot to mention a couple other things. Because Shane said, yeah, we just never got paid.
Yeah.
The guy never paid us. And Tony said, well, there was an issue with the shot glass.
Oh.
There
was...
So what were the other... Like, why do you think you didn't get paid? Were there other
Well,
issues,
we didn't get
or?
paid, A, because the guy was a total jerk.
Okay.
For one.
Okay.
For two, I don't think we... From my recollection of it, what brought us there in the first place was snowboarding was a huge thing in the Valley in the late 80s, too. Snowboarding was kicking in. It was a real big deal, you know. One of the shows we played in Colorado, Unveiled, was a big snowboarding and
cool.
band event, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that part of the draw was Whitefish was kind of a hot spot for all the, you know, for all the snowboarders. It was one of the cool places to go in the winter. And Chad, who sang for Blue Green at the time, his brother Chris, we stayed at his house in Whitefish. Or a friend of his, I'm not sure how, I may be wrong, but... So that was sort of the initial draw. We thought we're going to go to Whitefish, Montana. We're going to play shows for all these cool snowboarders. It's going to be a packed house. We're going to have the time of our lives. And no, that wasn't it at all. There was no snowboarders there. You know, it was only old dudes with cowboy hats and holstered, you know, weapons, you know, that were like completely not into us whatsoever.
Oh, man.
And so, I mean, the whole thing was kind of a letdown.
Yeah.
But, you know, we made the best of it.
And you played two nights?
Had fun. We played two nights, yeah. It was, and on the final night, we knew things were going awry. We knew that there was just sort of a sense that these guys aren't, we won't be back, you know. This is a wash.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that we didn't get paid. I mean, so much of it I've forgotten. I'm ashamed to say it. So much of that I barely remember, but I just remember us going crazy and tearing up the stage. And, you know, there was a symbol on the wall, you know, signed from some band that had previously played the Chandelier. That symbol now hangs in our band room.
What?
Yeah, so there was a little...
The one at Scott's house?
Yeah. I think we might have... Somebody grabbed that on their way out.
This is worth the money that we're not getting paid.
Oh, yeah.
But you were in the nice van.
I was in the nice van.
Yeah, that sounded nice.
I was in the good van.
Eating the Grey Poupon mustard.
Yeah, it was
That's
crazy.
So where else did you guys go, like far, like trips like that?
Well,
you said you went to Colorado.
That was probably
Did you fly
Colorado. That was the one time where it was like the true rock star experience.
Oh, cool.
And the backstory to that is, at some point in time, our tape got, you know, submitted to some college radio station and, you know, got submitted for this, what at the time was a brand new, let's try this thing out event called Unveiled. And the premise of it was a snowboarding and unsigned college band event that they're going to have in Colorado. And it started out with, from all of these tapes submitted, they narrowed it down to 16 bands. And 4 bands would have a playoff at different colleges throughout, you know, the country. I think there was one at UMass. Then there was one at, you know, I can't remember. But we ended up getting narrowed down to one of 4 bands that played in UNLV in Las Vegas. And they paid for everything. I mean, this thing had a huge financial backing. You know, like Snapple and Magnavox and whatever. I mean, you know, they had money behind it.
And how old were you at the time?
27, maybe, 26,
awesome.
27. So they flew us down, and mind you, the whole time we never thought this was going to amount to anything.
Yeah.
It was just like, let's just enjoy this free ride as long as we can.
Yeah.
So they flew us to Vegas, and we played, and, you know, it was a good show and had fun. It's like, oh, it was cool, you know, and basically, we're already on our way out the door when they announced us as the winner for that semifinal. I'm like, what? Us? Oh, my God, you know? It was cool because my dad was there. He flew down, and it's like,
awesome.
you know, So basically, each college then had one semifinalist that they flew to Vail, Colorado. And the Vail, Colorado show was huge. It was at this big ice arena that held like 10,000 people, and they had celebrity judges, Sigourney Weaver, and, you know, it was like... So Friday night, there was 2 bands that played, opening up for the Cowboy Junkies, us and another band. And then Saturday night, 2 bands played and opened up for Jesus Lizard. And then it got narrowed down to the final 2. And they played on Sunday night, opening up for Everclear. And then there was the big winner who got a record deal and all this. So we made it to the final 2. We played our night with Cowboy Junkies. Great show. We had a lot of fun. But, we got hotel rooms. We had a driver. We had a, here's me, this dumb, this dumb punk kid from LaConner, Washington, and I'm sitting behind the finish line at these ESPN, snowboarding events with world-class snowboarders coming down the hill, and I'm like watching them cross the finish line and drinking free beverages from their full-on catered tent, eating food. We've got these like all access passes,
Wow.
We just thought we were just a big deal. And
Did it just feel like a dream?
it was cool. It was a lot of it was it was unlike anything I've ever experienced before.
That's cool.
And then again, we just never thought, sure enough, we got named as one of the final 2.
Yeah.
So finally on that last night, that Sunday night, it's like, whoa, this is actually kind of like, this could actually be, there could be a future for us in this or whatever. So
Yeah.
we went out, and that's probably one of my favorite performances ever. I mean, we just nailed it. We were just, it was a great show. We played really well. We were energetic, great crowd. But we played the opening spot, and the band that played after us, I think they were a local band. I think they were from Colorado, maybe Denver band or whatever. But so they ended up winning.
Yeah.
But
So you didn't get the record contract.
Didn't get
but,
the record contract.
I mean, what do you think that? I mean, that second place. What do you feel like that got you? Do you know what I mean? Like, did that
it
open
didn't
up
get
some
enough.
other doors?
It got us a free trip to Colorado.
Okay,
Yeah.
but like when you came back, maybe like did some people call you like, "Hey, I saw that you got
No,
second."
because it was so new at the time.
Oh, okay.
Future Unveiled, like I think we played Unveil '96. The first one is the unveiling of Unveiled.
Yeah.
And so but nobody really know.
Yeah.
And then in years following, bands got signed from it. I mean, even just to make it there, sort of put you on the map. I mean, I can't remember the names of them. I feel like, Crash Test Dummies, or there was a couple other bands that ended up, becoming big bands that played Unveiled.
Oh, cool.
So,
Yeah.
but it was the first year, and maybe we just weren't good enough either. I mean, there's always
Yeah.
that. I mean, we were good, but looking back on it, I mean, there's so many what people look for in the record industry. Longevity. That young guys, just extreme talent. We were good, but we weren't Elton John good. We weren't Stevie Wonder good. And we're a little bit older. I mean, if they're going to sign bands, a lot of times younger bands, they want them young and super
Yeah.
talented.
Yeah.
But we had fun, and I was always proud of the music we played, and I always thought it sounded good. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I mean, I know for myself, when I'm writing music or when we're writing music, we write stuff that we like,
Yeah.
that we dig. And if other
Yeah.
people are into it, that's awesome. But
Yeah. Yeah. So it was neat to hear that Shane was on the radio because.
yeah, I used to love that show too. I mean, it's so many. Shane and I are about the same age. We both, went to Mount Vernon, as did Tim, and so my first concert was also the Scorpions and Rat at the Tacoma Dome.
Oh, yeah,
that
you're
was
saying
my
that.
first,
Yeah.
Concert ever. Me and my
That's
cousin
awesome.
John went, and
Yeah.
and I also took that radio class at Mount Vernon High School.
Oh,
and,
cool.
Yeah, played on there. Although I got in trouble because I played a Cryptic Slaughter record and forgot there was a million F words in it and didn't realize it till it was already playing. I'm like, oh God, I'm gonna get that.
Did you stop it?
No, I just let it roll out. So I used to listen to it a lot, and I listened to, all their funny skits, and Jerry Steamer. I mean, the guy's a crack up.
I'm excited to meet him this weekend.
Oh yeah, he
great. Seems pretty cool.
He's
yeah.
hilarious.
Because it was his idea, or he said he wanted a theme song to his show, and then that's when they wrote "What's Up Your Butt."
What's Up Your Butt, which is history will show the stairway to heaven of Skagit Valley. I mean, I don't know if Shane shows you or you, but their album cover, I'm pretty sure on their very first Stagnant CD was they were mimicking Motley Crue's "Too Fast for Love." It's like some dude with a, handcuff,
That's
belt
funny.
on his leather pants, and it was
Yeah.
hilarious. But
No, he brought me the Vicious Badgers album, and he gave a copy to me and my daughter, and I'm looking at the cover. It's the guy going over.
that's Quinn Thompson.
Yes, so Quinn's on the bottom. Yeah, Quinn's on the floor, and then I go, "Oh, who's that guy off to the side?" He's like, "Oh, that's Andrew from The Enthusiast." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah, it's their moped club, and Quinn names them all.
Yeah.
Quinn Thompson is one of the most artistically minded people I know. I mean, he's just inherently like his insight. He names all of those guys. He gives them all their nicknames. It's like he's also he's extremely talented artist too. He does that as well. He has
Yeah.
art shows and stuff.
I
but
gotta talk to him too.
He's got he just has a great. It's funny. He used to be my neighbor when my son.
Oh.
When my son was born, I lived right next door to Quinn.
I got this. It's the first line to Carolina Drama. I'm not sure if there's a point to the story, but I'm going to tell it again. Because I also thought about how I want to start my podcast because I met so many great people up there. I'm like, I got to share these stories. And then this is the Google Maps line from my house to the hub.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's cool because it kind of looks like a scar, And I mean, scar stories are the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
So,
sure.
do you have any good scars?
I have, tons
lot?
of good scars. Yeah.
Any that you can
I've
share?
been scarred up. Well,
Oh my gosh.
there's that one there.
On your neck?
Yeah.
Where's that from?
I had a dizzy spell about 6 months ago.
Oh, that's
in the middle of the
recent?
night. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Passed out. Turns out I had a stroke, mini stroke or whatever.
What?
Yeah. When found out that it was my carotid arteries were clogged. Go figure. So anyway, that was that. And got one on
Wow.
my back from back surgeries. A couple on. I mean, nothing with like cool war stories or anything like that.
I was thinking something
although-
happened up on stage.
No, I destroyed my brain, but my body came out relatively unscathed from
Yeah.
years of playing.
Yeah. Do you mind talking about your sobriety? Is that okay?
No,
Okay.
I don't mind it at all.
So many people I feel they feel like they need to hit that rock bottom to stop drinking or to think they have a problem. Like,
Yeah.
no, you
some
could just
some sort of event that
Yeah.
jars them into
You could just-
realization, I guess.
yeah, you could just be realizing that, oh, I'm having a bottle of wine every night with dinner. Probably shouldn't do that, you know? So, anyway, so I always like to share my story because I feel like you don't have to hit the rock bottom necessarily. Or also, once you do get sober, you do look back and go, oh, yeah, that wasn't that great.
I'm the same
Yeah.
way. I mean, I'll get dependent on anything, It's like I got to be careful. I'm just one of those people that I've never been able to do anything, casually. I
Halfway,
mean,
yeah.
no matter what it was that I tried,
Yeah.
I would do it from then on out,
Yeah.
at full speed ahead. I mean,
Yeah.
there was people that I, partied with when I was younger that partied just as hard as I did, and then one day it's like, oh, off to college,
Yeah.
or it's out, better start my life out, and I'm
Yeah.
done with that phase, and I just wasn't that guy. I was
Yeah.
like, I never left a drink unfinished, and or a pitcher unfinished. I mean, I was incapable of it.
Yeah.
And so, it was an easy decision for me to make, but just because, by the end, I mean, I was homeless and destitute, and
Really?
and, oh yeah, I mean, it
Oh,
was just,
wow.
I was like,
So you
sleep-
hit that rock bottom.
oh yeah, big time.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was very,
Yeah.
it was funny. I always tell one thing that a big one for me is I had gone to drug and alcohol treatment a few times, and and I'd always tell my son's mom and I've always had a very good relationship. We're very close, and she's family, and I would. I was in the band when my son was, younger, and I would go out and I'd get crazy, and then I'd go to a rehab, and whenever I got out of rehab, she would always be like, I want to see Connor, and she'd always be like, yeah, of course, he's waiting for you, come see him. She never sweated me about it. And then like the last time, I think I was MIA for 6 months. That's when I even disappeared from the band. I mean, I didn't show up to our New Year's Eve show, and I hadn't seen my kid in like 6 months. And I did what I always did when I ran out of money and places to live. I went to treatment. And so that time when I got out of when I was going to go to treatment, I called her and said, hey, look, I'm going to treatment. And she's like, that's fine, that's good for you, but you need to tell your son. I'm tired of telling your son,
And how old was he?
where you're at. Probably 9 or 10 at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, so she made me face him, And so I had to go to his school, and he was sitting on a park bench, and and it's like I hadn't seen you in 6 months, and I was uncomfortable, and basically saying, hey, I'm going to, I know I haven't seen you, but I'm going to this treatment center, and I'll never forget. He looked at me, big crocodile tears in his eyes. He's like, why? And I said, the only thing I could think of at the time was, I'm going away to be a better dad. And he looks at me and he goes, but you already are the best dad. And, that just echoed through my mind the entire time. And, after that, I never drank or did drugs again. So.
Oh, so that was the last time. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the last time.
Wow.
I was supposed to be in this treatment center for like 3 months, this intensive inpatient, and I was there for a week and a half, and they ran out of money and closed down.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so I ended up going home, but,
That's funny.
I learned, to, live without it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had a good support group, a lot of good friends, at the time,
Yeah.
so it helps out.
And how many times did you go to treatment?
I think that one was like my 4th time.
Okay. Yeah.
It's funny, they used to give out, I went to this one particular one in eastern Washington. They set it up in the desert so, no one can escape. It's like out in the middle of nowhere. It's called the Sundown Miracle Ranch. And you go there, and it's 28 days, and you graduate, and they give you a coin, and everybody gives a big speech about, I'm sober now, blah, 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 blah. And I always used to joke that, God, if I only went 2 more times, I'd have enough of those coins to make a belt. There was a bar up the road from the Sundown Ranch that would give anybody that went in there with their coin a free pitcher of beer.
What?
So that's what they have to face. I mean, but that's the world. I mean, that's the country we live in. It's a very drinking, country. It's like everybody drinks. I mean, but most people responsibly, a lot not. But again, it's alcohol isn't the problem. I see these guys at shows, they're always having beers, and they're always like, hey man, is it cool, or, I don't want it. It's like, no, it's totally, I mean, I get that,
like
that
in
it's
front
the
of you?
culture. Yeah, they're always, I mean, God bless them. They're always looking out for me, but it's nothing that I think about or crave. To me, they could be drinking apple juice, it's just what you do. So I have no issue with it.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. The music is your drug now.
Yeah, I mean, it always was, but,
Yeah.
Definitely.
Have you ever talked to your son about, like, that moment?
Oh, yeah, we're very close.
Well, I guess, he's got, I mean, how old are his kids?
Well, 5, almost 2.
Oh, my gosh.
And, maybe 6 months, my newest granddaughter, Lucy.
What a busy house. I only have one. I don't know how.
It's, my son was also sort of part of a new musical, thing that happened in like the early thousands. There's a picture, I remember there used to be a picture on the refrigerator of his mother's house of Connor on stage with Pavlov Jones. We were playing this outdoor festival in Anacortes one time, and Scott Story saw him down there and pulled him up on the stage and handed him a tambourine,
Oh my
little
gosh.
7-year-old Connor,
That's
and he was
awesome.
just like, so
Yeah.
into it. And then, fast forward to like 2000, it's before I moved to Portland, so probably around 2008, 2009. Scott, Andy, and I, his band was playing. They were like, "Hey, what are you doing tonight?" I'm going, "Oh, I'm going to watch Connor play." They're like, "Oh, right on." We're at, and so Scott and Andy and myself went and watched my son play with his band
wow.
at the time.
Yeah.
At this place in Burlington.
Yeah.
It was a cool, another cool sort of.
What was his
come
band
full circle.
called?
That band was called Reservation Cops.
Okay.
He plays bass and
Yeah.
guitar, but I think he definitely played bass in Reservation Cops.
You didn't force him to learn the flute?
No.
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 My first arena show was Alanis Morissette for Jagged Little Pill.
Canada
96.
loves their musicians.
Yeah.
They've got those Canadian content laws.
You
I mean, being
Yeah.
that I grew up here, I listened to Canadian radio.
like 99.3 The Fox?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
I was more familiar, honestly, with Canadian artists than I was with,
Yeah. Who are some of your favorite artists?
Oh, man, back then, I mean, well, obviously, I'm a Rush nerd,
Okay.
They're not necessarily BC, but,
Yeah.
I love Rush, but...
I think I know like one Rush song. I should get into them.
But, gosh, back then, I can't remember. Econoline Crush.
Oh,
I
yeah,
like those
yeah.
guys. Trouble Charger. That's another one I remember really liking.
That whole album.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that album. Yeah, the one big one they had.
I
Yeah.
liked Gob. They were
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. The Odds. Matthew Good. He
Matthew
wasn't like
Good,
he wasn't
I
like.
remember him.
Well, I guess he was rock in the beginning, and then he
Matthew
went.
Good.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. What was that other band?
I remember songs mostly. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
so, Don't ask me these questions. I'm 54 years old.
No, I'll just take it out. It's fine. Scott's like, take all the stuff, or Shane said, take all the stuff out that makes me sound dumb. I'm like, all right. The Tragically Hip?
Oh, yeah. Duh.
Yeah?
I don't know why did I even forget about that.
Because it's too obvious.
Yeah, I mean.
Do you know their song Wheat Kings?
Oh, duh.
Okay. Well,
Love.
let me show you this one. So
Oh,
this
yeah.
one.
Look at you. With
I know.
your-
So this one's from Wheat Kings. No one's interested in something you didn't do.
but yeah, them and Mudhoney, obviously, Soundgarden. I remember seeing them a few times. I saw the Screaming Trees at the 3B Tavern in Bellingham.
Really?
Yeah, way early on in their career.
Did you ever
Oh.
see the Super Suckers?
Oh, yeah.
All
the time.
when they would come to Victoria, we would see them. Or I think one time we even came down here to see them. My buddy Jim and I, and they were so much fun.
We used to play one of their songs. Pavlov did, actually.
Which one?
We played How to Maximize Your Kill Count.
Oh, I don't know that one. I'll have to look it up. So a couple weeks ago, Turnkey Runner practiced at Scott's, and Tim in Turnkey Runner, he was in a band. They opened for the Super Suckers not
Did
long
they?
ago, and I was like, oh my gosh, you're the coolest person I know. Yeah, Eddie Spaghetti. Oh, he's awesome.
Yeah, they were a great band.
Yeah.
There was a place in Seattle called the Sit and Spin. It was a laundromat / live music venue.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, and it was like right across the street from Studio X, where we recorded our a lot of our second, or at least mixed our second
Sit
CD.
and Spin.
Yeah, the Sit and Spin.
Gosh, I want to open a Sit and Spin. That
And it
sounds
was
so cool.
we saw the Super Suckers play there. Man, they were so awesome. I think one night we went and saw the Purdens play there. They were great. The Purdens are probably one of the coolest live bands.
The
you know.
Purdens. How do you spell that?
Purdins. They had one CD, and it was called Purdens Greatest Hits.
One CD.
Yeah. But they were amazing. I mean, and they have a lead singer similar to Shane. The guy's just, he's just funny. He just the one of the few times that I saw him, the guy brought on stage a box of Power Ranger masks, threw them out to the entire audience, and said, "We're not playing until everybody in the audience is wearing a Power Ranger mask." So everybody in the audience had to put on Power Ranger masks, and then once he did, he started snapping photographs of them, and selfie. Well, I mean, it was pre-cell phones, but taking pictures or whatever.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it was funny. They were a great band live.
Yeah. So I think Scott told a story about going to Canada to play. Were you on that trip?
Oh,
but
yeah.
but only one of the vans got across? Maybe it was Andy and Eli got across?
We never played. I mean, they got us at the border. They were like, I think we tried to fake like we were going to go record.
Yeah, yeah. And they said, "What's all that equipment?" And you're like, "Oh, it's just to keep the weight down in the van."
I don't know what kind of BS story you told them, but all I know is they weren't buying it, and they said, "Yep, back to America you go, jackasses." But we'd gone up to record at Profile Studio in Vancouver with Cecil English. Actually, Shane, I'm pretty sure turned us on to that guy. But
oh, cool.
We went up there to record our first CD, and when you're going up there to spend money, they're all about it. Oh yeah, come on through. Yeah, bring you and your American money and get up there and do your thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that we took that paperwork from when we went up there to record with us when we were going up to play and tried to use it, as oh no, we're going
Change
up there
the
to record. Yeah.
Yeah.
They weren't buying it. Scott got strip searched.
So how many times have you recorded?
Well, originally in our little, 5-6 year run, we did 2 CDs. We did our first, 2.
Yeah. So would you just record the whole album at once, or?
Yeah, we'd go up and we'd usually have all the stuff already written and laid out, and maybe 1 or 2 sort of, a couple songs we'd write in the studio, but it was
because it's every minute in there costs money, right? So you got to
back
go
then,
in, record, and
oh god, it was expensive. Thank God Andy had a credit card. It's like None of us had any. We couldn't afford that kind of shit. I'm pretty sure that Andy, poor guy. I'm pretty sure he financed our entire second CD on a credit card.
Really?
Yeah. And now he's got 10 boxes of 500 CDs still in his garage to this day of Pavlov CDs.
Well, when Shane mentioned that there's 3 Andy Browns, Tony Wright texted me and said he's incorrect about that. There's 4 Andy Browns.
Yeah.
So, do you have a good Andy Brown story that I haven't heard yet?
I don't really like that guy. He's a liar.
Fine.
He lies about everything, especially his age. I'm pretty sure he's only 40. He tells everybody he's like 70, but he's
Well,
he's in better shape than I was, at 12. I mean, I remember one time we were all big into Tenacious D when they first came around.
I love Tenacious D.
And they were playing in Seattle, and so we went up there. I heard this story via Eli, who was also at the show. I wasn't actually at the show, but classic Andy Brown.
Where were they playing? Like a big arena? Or?
No, God, they were playing at like the Crocodile Cafe or something.
Oh, I love the Crocodile.
Yeah,
oh, cool. Okay, so
there.
they hadn't hit the big time yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, they were definitely popular.
Yeah.
They definitely had stuff, but.
Yeah.
And I guess, they were trying to get somebody to come on stage and sing one of their songs, and everybody's like, pointing at Andy, and he's like, yeah. So, Andy gets up on
He
stage.
got on stage with them?
Yeah, and totally choked. Andy Brown, the perfectionist, Mr., let's do that 9 more times, because you didn't come in.
Like?
Yeah, oh, God, yeah. He's like, let's do it again. Your vocal was wrong on that one. But he got up and completely choked, which, of course, frustrated him to no end. I mean, it was the entertainment value for everybody else was, priceless. I mean, of course, they're like, you idiot, what are you doing up here and picking on him? And everybody's laughing, and he's just, so bummed out. Classic Andy maneuver.
I love it, because he would not have shared that story on here.
Oh, God, no. No, I mean,
awesome.
if you want to hear embarrassing things about Andy, ask me or Scott or, or anybody else in the music scene.
Because you basically, you've known him for
a long time.
Yeah.
Since we started.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the ultimate story.
Okay.
Andy Brown and a friend of ours, Craig, Dr. Craig, he's a podiatrist. Okay. So is it me, Andy Brown, and Craig? We're going to go to the LaConner Smelt Derby. It's one of the... It's this big event that they used to have every winter in LaConner. You basically, the whole town comes out on a Saturday, and it's just drink fest,
Yeah.
But everybody fishes for smelt. You get prizes for the biggest or the smallest or the most amount. So we were going to the Smelt Derby. So we met up at 6:00 in the North Fork of the Skagit River, got in a boat, with a 6-pack and a 5th of Crown Royal, and which we, polished off most of it by the time we got to Goat Island, which is this little island just before you hit the LaConner Channel.
Yeah.
And all the bars and all the restaurants are waterfront restaurants on the channel. So, there's people there all over the place.
Yeah.
We got out, drank a 5th, got back in the boat, got to the LaConner Channel right as we're about to, come into the main drag of it. Somebody, I think Craig, stood up to take a leak, capsized us. All 3 of us went in the water. So there's 3 guys, and we're talking last weekend in January. It's cold.
Oh my god.
The water is cold.
And how deep is it?
The channel, it's deep enough.
So you're treading water.
Yeah, you could drown. Oh, absolutely.
Oh my god.
There's a million floating empty beer cans in the water. And people are gathering on the shore, and people are looking. And Andy's out there trying to save his boat. I'm trying to save my ass. So I, of course. I was wearing snow boots, and they were weighing me down.
Oh my god!
So I actually had to swim to this boat that was docked at this cannery on the channel, climb up onto the boat, and walk across it. And all the people on the boat are like, "Whoa, where'd you come from?" They're just freaking out.
Yeah.
And so eventually, all 3 of us got to shore. And the volunteer fire department for the city of LaConner, Washington, showed up, threw us in the back, made us strip down to our underwear because of hypothermia, cranked up the heat, and it's unbeknownst to us, the sheriff's department showed up and ran all our IDs from the bag of wet clothes that we handed them. Our dumb drunk asses handed them. And this, the sheriff looks in there and goes, "Hey, which one of you is Matt Specht?" I'm like, me? He goes, "I got a warrant for your arrest. I got to take you to, sorry, I got to cuff you."
Oh
I'm like,
my god.
whoa. So I'm like, okay. So I stand up, The volunteer fire department says, sorry, bro, I got to take that blanket from you. So the guy cuffs me in my underwear, walks me across the street. Meanwhile, there's people crowded on the shore of Shelter Bay watching, like, who's Gandhi over there? Whoa, what's going on, you know? Takes me to the sheriff's car and drives me to the county lockup in Mount Vernon, the Skagit County lockup. So
you started your day fishing.
I started my day fishing. I ended up in jail.
So the moral of the story is don't hang out with Andy Brown.
Yeah, don't drink in Andy's boat.
Don't drink in Andy's boat.
It became a song called Channel, oddly enough.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was fun. It was pretty funny.
Any other near-death experiences that you have experienced?
Oh man, I mean, not.
Any driving while you're on tour?
No, you know, Andy always drove most of the time. He was, you know, Andy's he's responsible. He's a responsible guy. Thank God, because our lives were in his hands. You know, definitely.
Well, the van was probably on his credit card.
Yeah, yeah. Eventually, they bought an airporter.
Okay.
And turned that into a van vehicle that, you know, after Pavlov, I think that even Fortune 500 continued to use, you know, throughout their touring history.
So what's when people come to Pavlov shows, what was like one song that everybody always wanted to hear? Did you guys have like the
Channel was definitely a big one. Yeah, because most of our friends knew the story behind it. So I went to jail twice in my Pavlov tenure.
So that was the first one?
That was the first one. The second time was...
Did you know you had a warrant out for your arrest?
I had no idea.
Oh, okay.
Turns out it was... I wrote a check for a pack of cigarettes that bounced.
What?
Yeah.
How long ago?
I mean, like 2 years prior.
Oh.
At that point in my life, I was such a nomad. You know, I was living here and there. It's like nobody could ever track me down. And
oh, wow.
One of the guys I was living with at the time, his name is Steve Johnson. I was like, you know, renting a room from him. And I think like 2 weeks after I moved out, I ran into him one day and he's like, hey, the sheriff's department showed up for you last week. I'm like, oh, really? He goes, yeah, I don't know why. They just asked for you. And I'm like, oh.
That's crazy.
That's weird. You know what they want. Idiots.
Pack of cigarettes. So that was your first time going?
The second time, we were
Andy
playing
Brown
in
was
Oak
also
Harbor.
involved.
Oh, yeah, this was Andy and Scott. Andy and Scott and I were going to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. We were leaving at 4 a.m. We were going to my parents' house. My parents had a condo, and so the three of us were going to go to Cabo. And we had a show the night before in Oak Harbor. And I was working in Oak Harbor, so after work, I got a flat. Got home, we went and played the show. You know, and then after the show was over, you know, whatever, 2 a.m., they took me by my car to fix my flat tire. This time I knew I had a warrant. I can't remember why. I think it was driving on a suspended or something. I was a very I was a terrible drinker. I drank for years and I sucked at it.
You didn't do it well.
No. I didn't do things like renew your license. Or, you know.
Yeah.
But, so we were fixing my flat tire drunk at 2 a.m. after a show. And again, a sheriff pulls up, and he's like, you know, what are you guys doing? You know, ran your IDs.
Yeah.
And, you know, I lied and said I was somebody else. Funny story, I said I was Dave Evans. I thought of the most responsible friend that I had, the one that's never been in trouble. So God forbid they run my name. They're going to come up with the cleanest, most pristine. Oh, this guy's a saint. You know, that's how you think when you're, you know, 15 PBRs later.
Yeah.
But so of course he reached in, opened my glove box, pulled out the title of my car, and said, "Oh, you're Matt Specht." Oh, looky here, says he. So in the back seat I go, handcuffed yet again, and this time they drove me to the, you know, the Island County lockup in Whatcom County. Scott and Andy both had, you know, money on them from our trip that we were taking in the morning, so they went and bailed me out.
Oh.
Thank God, you know.
Friends.
And yeah, we drove, you know, they bailed me out, got my car, got back. We pulled into my mom's house at like 3:55 a.m. right as my mom and dad are loading their car to drive to SeaTac Airport. They're like, "Where have you guys been all day?" What's been? Oh, nothing.
Oh, so you actually went to Mexico still?
Yeah, we made it. We flew down there.
Oh my God.
That also became a song called we just cut it from our set list last night too.
Oh, really?
Coopville. It's called Coopville. Yeah.
I'll have to listen to it.
Yeah.
So, but you guys have written. Now, who writes the songs usually?
Well, I mean, it's a group effort,
Okay,
you know.
yeah.
I mean, you know, I'll write something and bring it to the fold. we may all write things individually.
Yeah.
Definitely this resurgence of the band,
Yeah.
you know. One thing that happened between last summer and this one is Scott learned how to play guitar.
Oh, did he not play guitar before?
No.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he learned how to play guitar. It's like, oh, yeah, I learned how to play guitar. I'm really, oh, what do you know? And he's like playing me full songs with words and lyrics, and him and
Wow.
Matt Leslie are recording new shit together. And, you know, it's like they're so.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, he's really coming to his own, as you know,
Yeah.
so it's cool. But
Yeah.
so, you know, he's writing songs, and I'll write songs at home. But, you know, I always say once they hit the band room floor, they become ours.
Yeah.
You know, everybody puts their signature on it.
Well, you
so-
were just saying how, you know, these two crazy stories became songs.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, well, what are your new songs about? Like raising teenagers and becoming a grandpa?
They're about getting old and forgetting things. I am a die-hard Beatles fanatic. I mean, I love the Beatles. I've always loved them. The very first record I ever got was Revolver.
Yeah.
You know, I remember I heard the song Eleanor Rigby on the radio when I was in the 4th grade. My mom took me to a chicken ranch in Connecticut because I lived in the East Coast at that time. And I heard Eleanor Rigby on the radio, and I'm like, that was the first time I remember hearing music and going, oh my God, you know, whoa, what, you know, it just sort of spoke to me. And I asked her, I was like, hey, who's that? And she's like, oh, that's the Beatles. And when I got home from school the following Monday or whatever, she'd bought me the album Revolver.
Oh.
And I played it over and over and over and over
Wow.
and loved it. And then, you know, it's like, still
Yeah.
to this day is my favorite album ever.
Yeah.
You know, when I was a kid, when I was into them, it wasn't cool to be into them. I mean, you know, they've come in and out of style over the years, but in the late 70s, early 80s, you know, when I was elementary school age, you know, kids were listening to new wave and punk rock. And, you know, I've always, you know, had a little bit of regret that this whole, you know, sort of new genre of music was being born and created. It sort of passed me by because I was somewhat sheltered and, you know, I mean, I got into a lot of that stuff later, but, you know, nobody thought me liking the Beatles was cool. It was just like, idiot, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, they just thought they were just wuss bags. And, you know, they're going to go play their Sex Pistols album and, you know,
Yeah,
F
yeah.
you, dude, you know? We were well loved locally at the time, you know? So, I mean, really,
Kinda
for
had a
us,
following.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
for us, it was rare to have an off night.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, we'd have them occasionally, but definitely when we played here, you know, we had a lot of fans. So, I mean, most nights are good. I will say that you know, that Vale show, that probably is one of the the night we opened for Everclear at the Unveiled, people liked us.
Yeah.
And I noticed that. And a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it was, you know, it's like a, you know, it's a little bit of a high. It's just like, whoa, these guys are into it. You know,
Yeah. And they're
you
not
know,
related to you, and they
yeah,
didn't
they
go to
don't
school
know
with
me
you.
from Adam. They never even heard us. You know, it's like there was no, you know, internet back then. They couldn't, like, you know, we
Yeah.
were just, and that's fun. You know, it's like it's fun when you get a connection with them like that. You know, because
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy to play in front of, you know, 100 of your best friends and
Yeah.
you know have a good time, but to play for strangers and have them be like, whoa, you know,
Yeah.
these guys like us.
Yeah.
You know.
Those are some of the best.
You just feed off of that. You could just tell they've connected. They're having fun. You know,
Yeah.
it's genuine. I mean,
Yeah.
anytime that you're emotionally, you know, affected by a genuine musical experience like that, you know, it's magical. I mean, I
Yeah.
know that sounds cheesy, and they're probably gonna pick on me for saying that. Maybe edit that out. But